In my previous video, I killed a few bosses in the following using my Buggy, which gave me an idea. Can you wield the Buggy like the Master Sword and kill all freak bosses in the DLC? Can you even reach the freaks with it in the first place? I chose to attempt this feat during the Hyper Weekend event, which will enable me to get the Buggy to the bosses and also kill them faster. I also acquired a hacked Crossbow amongst other hacked weapons. Since killing the bosses doesn't feel like enough, I'll be liquidating all other bosses and their assets with the hacked Crossbow alongside the mother. You see, Buggies are like crossbows. They're both available in the following, they're both projectile based, and they're both deadly in the wrong hands. As you can see, these are the wrong hands. I want to show you that the hacked crossbow exists since cheaters, a lot of the time, claim to be using a glitch to shoot their Daryl Dixons semi-automatically. I want to do this on a new saved game, but to start the following I need to complete the prologue in the main game first. I've already started a new game on Nightmare, so all I have to do is finish the prologue real quick. And now I can make a new following save on manly mode, of course, because I always try to be mad about it. The first thing I need to do in Countryside is pick up this blueprint I plan to never use, locate a village where I find Jazir and his daughter Ezgi. He's yelling at her for being a giant whore and banging every stranger who wanders into the village. I'm sure he's happy to see my eager face as I saunter in. You can guess what happens next. The guy who looks like everyone's fun alcoholic uncle sends me to the corner store to pick up some scratchers, find some new friends, and show them how powerful my calves are before sending one of them to the moon. Tokyo drift away before getting trapped halfway into the ground for trying to get out of my Buggy and fall into the void toward the singularity. That's karma catching up to me for performing a dune buggy on Ezgi, which is the act of motorboating a woman's ass cheeks. On my channel you learn something new every day. I don't want to complete the prologue in the following yet because volatiles will make this too challenging. Fuck Abby. I need the sun to stay right where it is, so I won't be completing it until after I kill all the freaks. The long cock of karma strikes again by destroying all my Buggy parts for no reason at all. I may have parked too close to a burning car, but I'm not too big on accountability. So I kick my pussy wagon the rest of the way to Behemoth. It doesn't take rocket appliances to figure out that this fight's gonna be the easiest, which is why I'm doing this first. Plus, I did most of it in my last video. I coax Behemoth into destroying a red barrel that's too close for comfort, line up my Buggy and cram it into the building. Kick things off by popping Behemoth in the shins. While this fight is happening, I have a few regular zombies in the building with me, a bunch of explosive barrels scattered about the room along with some toxic puddles that'll kill me almost instantly, so I spend a lot of time running around in a panic. Behemoth gets distracted so I have a chance to clear out the room. I let the big guy know I'm ready, and the fight can begin. He flexes his muscles at me. I'm unimpressed, so I make him look silly, and that's when he shows me how low my health is. I chose what we're gonna play catch with, which leads to an argument. He wants to use a slab of concrete instead, but I overcome his resistance, ignore him, and continue doing things my way. That's how I get what I want out of people usually. I've enjoyed virals not tugging at my sleeve so much that they start spawning in, so I have to drop what I'm doing to feed them some attention. I come dangerously close to pushing Behemoth into a red barrel before finishing him off. That's 1 down and 4 to go. Time for me to reset my Buggy and crawl at a snail's pace to the next freak. A viral blocks my view and pops me one right in the face as I pull up to Buffo. I think that's how you say it. Buffo hangs out in a future safe zone with high walls surrounding the area I need to get my Buggy into. As I begin probing the exterior wall, I look on the bright side of things. If I finished the prologue, I'd have volatiles to tend with instead of just viral boys. My only hope to get my weapon of choice close enough to B's lit buff tit is to either glitch it through the wall or find an object to kick it off into the area he's waddling around in. Since I've never heard of or seen a Buggy clip through walls, that idea's out. The only way to get the Buggy into BZ lit buff titty's stomping ground is to force it over the wall. So I get to work, looking for a ramp of some kind. A couple of boats look promising since the roof isn't far from the tip, but I quickly realize that my kicks don't have enough force to send the Buggy flying far enough to reach it. I walk my cart around to the back gate, and it looks more penetrable. I kick the shit out of it to no avail. The gate on this side of the compound looks more promising since there's a slight incline leading up to it, which makes me think I could ease it over the fence nice and slow by bouncing it against the fence until it cooperates. I'm able to get the nose up on the fence, which confirms my hypothesis, but getting the Buggy to BZ in this manner will be difficult. I get blasted by the toad person and die. When I return, I pull the Buggy to the white gate instead and try the same tactic but fail. I also saw BZ grab a viral's titty, which reminds me of a famous sexual deviant on the internet. Because of that, and only that, I'm calling this freak Big Ed from here on out. Finally, my dumbass catches on to how I'm getting Big Ed's attention after driving from one gate to the other and dying again. When I return, without getting into the buggy, I go to work and very quickly pop the front end up onto the fence. I know it's possible now. I kick faster and harder with newly inspired hope, but the buggy is facing the wrong direction again. I don't know if you knew this, but kicking one end of the buggy doesn't turn it at all, so turning it without getting in is a bitch. I get the front wheels over the fence, more successfully this time, and feast my eyes upon my good works. But now is no time to celebrate. I still need to lift the ass end up and over as well, which I almost do on the first attempt. I die trying to face my weapon in the right direction, again. Using my superior training and indomitable will, I try pushing my buggy over the fence for an hour. This time I tried doing it ass end first instead. By putting the buggy between a hard place and Crane's forehead, the buggy doesn't know where to go, so it decides to go up, flying into the air, and luckily it lands in Big Ed's playpen. This sexual harasser's days are numbered. Fueled by a new sense of purpose, I hop the gate and don't bother healing, so I die. I got a little too overzealous, so I come back with full health and die again, almost instantly. This face is sitting in a pool of his own sick, which eats my health very fast. Plus, a couple of virals are keeping him company, so I need to take them out first. I kick these dicks around for a bit before seeing how Big Ed likes his cankles mashed up. He doesn't seem to mind. I can only run out for a second to kick the buggy at him before having to retake cover. I push him out of his puddle but die for it shortly after. When I return, my buggy's on its side, which means I can launch it into his face. I kick it at him twice, but don't inflict any damage before dying very quickly. Hanging off stuff helps me think, and I'm thinking this won't be possible. I would have to tip the buggy over, which is hard to do in the first place, repeatedly, and then kick it into his face perfectly, and do all this without dying, since dying resets his health. And I don't even know if that'd do damage to him in the first place. Thor sounds like a less impossible challenge, so I make a split decision to leave for now. Resetting my buggy is as simple as my older half-brother. I also make a split decision to fix my buggy parts since I have to drive across the map to the huge muscle-bound freak, stop for a new skin for my weapon, and arrive at Thor's stomping grounds to find an even bigger wall. But there's a flaw in this cock-blocking design of this boss's protection wall. There are gaps on each side with concrete dividers. If you've played this game as long as I have, you'd know that these highway dividers have more suction than Ezgi's mouth, and she could suck the chrome off a trailer hitch. When you get your buggy high-centered on one of these dividers, it's a pain in the ass getting it off. I get to work kicking my buggy onto the divider. It only takes a couple attempts to get my buggy into place, so I check on Thor and trim off the fat, as they say. Carefully inch my buggy past the wall when I'm faced with a new problem. The divider has more suction than Ezgi, who could suck a golf ball through a garden hose, which means that getting the buggy off will be a challenge. I plan to get the buggy into Thor's little arena by standing on it and kicking down in the direction of the arena, but this blows up in my face when the buggy peels off in the wrong direction. The divider on the opposite side of the wall comes to an end, giving me a little landing for my buggy. So I attempt to get my buggy onto that divider instead, but die when Thor hits me through the wall. Find myself an orange weapon, return to freshly respawned zombies I have to clear out, kick my buggy onto the divider 4 times just to have the buggy board slide instead of doing the required 50-50 grind needed to get past the wall. And I kick it off the freeway every time trying to correct this. By choosing a different spot on the divider to mount the buggy onto, I came close to succeeding but failed. This new spot I'm using is too difficult, so I switch sides again, returning to my original idea. The price of getting my buggy to Thor is my time, sweat, and tears. While you watch me cry and bleed, I may as well teach you something. I want this to be an educational experience for you. A dune buggy is slang for when you nut on a woman's tits and throw sand onto the gooey mess. Anyways, I got super duper good at kicking my buggy up and down the divider, and also got so good at kicking it toward Thor that instead of falling off, it leveled off instead. This is it. After all this time, there's no way I could screw this now. I quickly finished getting the buggy into Thor's arena. Thor is a hardy boss. It usually takes a tremendous amount of hitting him and or luring him with candy into the puddles of gas to light him ablaze. The buggy does plenty of damage, but the risk of it going over the edge is too great, so I have to wait for Thor to walk his happy ass around it, so I have plenty of clearance in case the buggy goes flying. This eats up a lot of time, but I'm able to corner him sometimes so I can get in his face to point out his faults. He retaliates and almost kills me with one swing of his hammer, and I take a more conservative approach from here on out. If I die, he will gain back a ton of health. The fight lasts for 20 minutes before he finally goes down. I breathe a sigh of relief as I reset my buggy and celebrate my victory by learning how to craft better, recovering faster, and being less of a pussy overall. I crawl my way to the next boss, but end up having to get out and push the rest of the way. Holler is the next freak on my list, and he's surrounded by a perimeter fence, not unlike Big Ed's. But unlike Big Ed, Holler's fence has a huge gaping hole in it. Getting my buggy into his little area will be simple enough, except for the fact that he bats it back at me when I come close. He's standing right in front of the gate and keeps spiking the buggy back at me. But the son of a bitch can't stop me forever. I don't recognize words like no or stop, and I get it in after a few minutes. Holler's reach is a lot longer than his actual arm, and the concrete that he throws has a huge explosive radius. So I have to take a cautious approach, but luckily for me, Holler's a big, smooth-brained idiot. Or so I thought until he stood on top of my buggy and sniped me, which I could do nothing about. When I return, I'm able to corner him and bash his health back down to where it was. He catches me off guard when he backhands me in the lip. Viral's come to get some attention. My buggy takes a bullet from me, and Holler donkey punches me to death. I continue to use my buggy for cover. Holler smacks me to the ground again with his mind powers, and I guess my wagon got tired of taking one for the team cause it refuses to do so anymore. I get tired of this magical cocksucker hitting me through walls, so I finish him off quickly. That's 3 of 5 bosses down. Now it's time to confront David and his donkey-brained older brother. I fix my buggy and drive to the corner of the map where the island they live on resides. Even though I'm able to shoot my buggy underwater pretty close to the island, it's on top of a shelf with high vertical drops on all sides. Getting the buggy to the island like a submarine isn't gonna work, and it's way too far to kick, so using it to kill David and Randy won't be possible. Nobody saw this coming, and I mean nobody. But I've got Ace in my hole, or I mean a hacked crossbow I call Ace. I pop a squat and squeeze Ace out into the world to use on not just the 2 remaining freak bosses, but all remaining bosses in the following as well. This crossbow is semi-automatic with a bottomless clip, so reloading is a thing of the past. I don't even need to keep bolts for my crossbow in my imaginary backpack. You see, every time I pull the trigger, I conjure a new one into existence out of thin air. It also has a toxic modification on it, which gives all bolts toxic damage, so this crossbow is total bullshit. I see now why hackers feel like they're above everyone else. I feel like a god right now. I return to Big Ed and spray him down with my sweet vengeance for being a raunchy, titty-flicking, taking no damage to the legs dick that he is. I overwhelm him with shot after shot of a variety of different bolts to the face. I use regular bolts for a minute to see how fast I'm shooting in real time. Impact bolts seem to be the most effective, so I finish him off real quick with that. The locals are very grateful that the creep won't be around to manipulate young, unsuspecting women into sleeping with him anymore. I swim out to David and Bob. This fight is a little more tricky since I can't put myself out of reach, and this giant prick keeps throwing me back into the sea. I focus David down first until we get to finally learn the other zombie's name. It's Goliath, which confused me. I kill him, find a new weapon skin, and kill myself to make my way back to Jazir's camp quicklier, which didn't work at all. Slap that new weapon skin on my buggy, make a happy trail of bolts, and check on Demolisher to see if I can fight him yet, which I can't until I do Power to the People. I gallivant to the next main story objective, which is to turn the water back on. Everyone starts attacking me for no reason, and this bearded maniac knocks me into his pit despite my half-hearted efforts. This crossbow alleviates all pressure to put effort into the fight, which I love, and I discover a floating bouquet of bolts following me around. I turn this man into a living, breathing pincushion. This Mario-looking guy is being the worst plumber and causes a mess that I have to clean up. Jazir's happy. The quartermaster's happy. This guy is less happy after I attempt to beat down his door for a while. So I make my way back to Jazeer, and a cult member gives me a free Daryl Dixon before inviting me to an orgy. It's a classy affair involving all townsfolk. Jazeer sends me back to the water plant, and just as I'm about to restore power, I realize that if I wait a few days, maybe let a couple people die of thirst and then fix the power, then the townspeople will be much more grateful to me. Plus, this way, they're totally dependent on me. I kill some volatiles and learn that the toxic bolt kills them the fastest. Tell Jazeer that I'm working on turning the water back on, and I get sent to investigate an anomaly. That's where I encounter another Demolisher boss I want to cross off my list. Kill this dude's brother and he rewards me for it. I kill him too since the reward wasn't up to snuff. I meet up with the quartermaster who informs me that All League needs me to bring him a fuse and some other crap. This is how I get to a Demolisher boss I fight inside the dam. The Demolisher lets me know he's a big boy and won't go down easy, then steps on a Lego dying instantly. In the next part of the mission, I have to clear the area of zombies. Ali has Gaydar but for zombies and will know if I half-ass it, which is annoying, so when he asks me to protect him, I try getting him killed. I wait forever to see if the virals will attack him, but it never happens. I become Disciple and can do the Radio Boy side quest finally. I'm able to kill the Demolisher fast with the cheater bow, but I screw up trying to kill the kids again. I'll get them next time. I disturb these cultists' final resting place before making my way to another boss at the old man's house. Killing this Demolisher with my crossbow would be too easy, so I decide to slowly and painfully kick my Buggy onto his toes. Hyper mode is no longer active, so when I kick my Buggy, it doesn't go flying as much as it just kinda wobbles a bit. I'm able to stagger the Demolisher every once in a while, which makes me think it's working. I'm getting on his nerves. Minute after minute passes by as I grow weary. At this point I don't know if he's taking damage, but before I can pull out my crossbow to finish the job, he collapses like a sack of aborted fetuses. I go inside the house where I meet the old man who needs me to fix the power for him. I break my body doing this, and when I return he has the gall to ask me to fetch some stuff for him. This pisses me off, so I stab him in the throat and make it look like an accident. There's no such thing as murder in the apocalypse, so I know I'll get away with it. I inform the cult what happened, try to impale this cute shirtless dude on some spikes. Go back to Jazeer, who begs me to turn the water back on, but I choose to string him along a bit more instead. I need people to die, hopefully some kids, that way when I turn the water back on, they'll parade me around the village on their shoulders. I test out some hack pistols that insta-kill volatiles. This dying cult member tries to make me feel sorry for him, run over an idiot who is standing in the middle of the road, and make it to the lighthouse to do some light role-playing before going to the dam to hear the mother's whole life story. I let her know I'm not interested, so she chokes me a bit and divides herself into a gaggle of mothers to attack me on all sides. Using the hack crossbow with impact bolts, I dispatch them one by one, but find that bitch slapping them is much more effective. All the mothers reassemble into one before getting absolutely obliterated, and I rip her head off. I used the hack crossbow as much as I could for the final fight, but the purpose of using it really was to just show you it exists. People over the years have tried to convince me that it doesn't. I'm sure some of them think that that's true, but as you can see, it does, so I want to spread some awareness. Besides, it's really fun on single player. I wasn't able to defeat all the freak bosses by just using the Buggy, but hopefully you thought the crossbow was interesting enough. If not, you can dislike the video. I've also made a dislike button in the comments. Don't forget to like the dislike button if you didn't like the video. Join my Discord, the link to it is in the description. I want to be Dying Light using the upside down potion from the Halloween event, but since the release of Dying Light 2 is so close, I'm gonna wait on that. In my next video, I plan on killing everyone that I can in Dying Light 2, or getting everybody that I can killed. So stay tuned for that. In the near future, I plan on making a Patreon, so look for news about that on my Twitter or in the community tab on my channel. A link to my Twitter is also in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.